Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Team JG's final build for Damon the Daemon. Team JG consists of Joshua Glardon, Patrick Costa, as well as myself, Joshua Gillard. I will go ahead and start by going over the front end. We will transition then into the back end and highlight some of the commands and features of Damon the Daemon. So to start, this is a WordPress built website that is hosted on a Docker container on Nginx, and the homepage goes over briefly about what Damon is, what he does, and if you'd like him on your stream, you can register here. The About Us page goes over the team, like mentioned before, Joshua Glardon, Patrick Costa, as well as myself, and it also lists our strengths that we bring to the team and kind of the overarching kind of idea of what we had when building Damon the Daemon. The development page highlights all of our build submissions for Damon the Daemon, starting with our first build and ending with the final build. Once this video is submitted, we will upload to YouTube and update that on the website. Now, for someone to register with Damon the Daemon and want to use them on their Twitch channel, it's very straightforward. They go ahead and click login/register, and you will see a sign in with Twitch icon here. Go ahead and click that. Now, since I am already signed in to Twitch and I am registered on Damon the Daemon, I have already logged in, as you can see on the top right here. This is my username from Twitch, and this is a very simple place to change the color scheme. Has the username as well as the email address associated with the Twitch account, the Twitch URL for that account, the biographical information, the picture, and it gives also users the option to delete the account. So if they no longer want to use Damon for their Twitch channel, they can go ahead and delete account here. Now, this is actually made possible by Mild, who developed a WordPress social login, and that utilizes the OAuth 2.0 implicit code flow. So what it pulls, along with the username, the image, the email, it actually pulls the user ID. So in the MySQL database, we actually have the ID, the user ID, which is native to WordPress. That's to identify all of the users that is stored in the database. The identifier is actually the user ID from the Twitch API. That, coupled with the display name, which is the username for Twitch, again pulling that from the Twitch API as well as the profile URL. But the display name and the identifier, that is what is used for multi-user functions for Damon. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Joshua Glardon. He will go over more of the architecture as well as the back end for Damon the Daemon.
Thanks, Josh, for that introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Joshua Glardon, and today what I'm going to do is this is probably going to be one of the longer portions of the presentation. I am Joshua Glardon, and I am one of the developers for Team JG, for Damon the Daemon chatbot. And one of the many things I'm going to be going over during this presentation is not only the backside of Damon on Docker and how it works, but we're going to do a deep dive on Damon itself. running in Twitch, and how well Damon does work not only for interactions with users, for the administrator, and also how much security it also brings to the user's experience when they're actually in the room. So in front of you right now, I actually have a terminal in front of me of the workstation that Damon is being hosted on. This is an Ubuntu server, and instead of where we started off with Windows, we have now transitioned to an Ubuntu server running Docker. And as you can see, I've already SSH'd into this machine, which is local at my location on a Dell R710 server. And on this Docker, there are multiple different, on this image, this virtual machine, there are multiple Docker images that are running on the machine. And two of them, as you can see, is the Damon WordPress and also the Damon database. What we have done is successfully not only hosted the WordPress on the virtual machine, but also a MySQL MariaDB that feeds not only into the WordPress, but also into Damon himself. And so, as you can see here, what we've also done is we also built Damon into the Damon DB Docker image, so that anytime that this Docker is launched, Damon is up and running. And with multiple users support, all users who are authorized Damon the chatbot will have Damon running in their Twitch chat rooms available. And as you can see, as we move further into the database, you can see we have MySQL and Damon the chatbot in here, databases. And when you come inside and you select the ID, the user ID, identifier table, the profile URL, and the display name, you get the different items that work for these users. And you can see there are multiple users right now that are authorized Damon. And Damon is running right now in Twitch. So I wanted to highlight this so we can see the backside of the architecture and how well integrated it is, and that it is totally cloud-based. It actually works cloud. This isn't deployed on a local user. So what we're going to do now is we're going to transition over to Twitch, and we're actually going to show you Damon in all its glory. Okay, so we are now actually in the chat room for Patrick Sundevil on Twitch. And as you can see, we have already launched the Docker, and we've already launched Damon the chatbot. And Damon the chatbot is already active in this room. What I have done is not only logged in as the main user or the admin who actually is authorized this bot, but I've also taken my mobile phone and logged in as a different user so we can highlight the differences between a user and someone who has actually authorized the bot for Damon the chatbot. So, as you can see, Gillard Ranger logged in and it came in, and immediately Damon the chatbot recognized somebody new came into the room and said, "Hello, welcome to the stream." Now, as the admin, I can actually run a help command, and it will actually show me the registered administrator commands that Patrick Sundevil is authorized to be able to run. Now, there are some other modules that we are still continually building, and we can add into there, which is that'll be added at a later date. Now, if Gillard Ranger, taking my mobile here, and I run the same command of help for the command in there, you can see that Damon immediately understands that compared to all the users that are authorized in the database of the MariaDB, it's not an authorized admin for the bot, so it gives this user a separate set of commands that can be run. And at any point in time, we can take away or add commands to a user and take away and add commands to an administrator for more in-depth actions that we want Damon the chatbot to be able to run. Now, as we shown, as we were talking about before, Damon is continually watching you as you're talking. It is a real stream, real time analysis of text. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the system filter for certain words. Now, taking a look into the graphic language filter, what we've done is we've developed a filter for Damon that if anybody is causing any kind of concerning language or concerning activities in a chat room while a Twitch streamer is streaming, Damon will immediately catch it and immediately either warn the user or ban or kick the user out of the room. So, for example, when you're using it from, again, the other user in the room who's a regular user, and pardon that we're going to use a certain, curse language in here, but if you send a certain curse word into the room, Damon should actually see it and actually cause a reaction from it. And as you can see right there, it took it a quick minute because it's monitoring the whole room, but it notices when certain words come across and it mutes the user to where they can't speak anymore. Sorry for the first one, I misspelled it. So it actually will filter people out as it goes along. Additionally, I didn't highlight earlier, one of the things that we see mostly on a lot of Twitch streams is that moderation bots usually chat in a explicit color or the color that they're in the room with. So it's very easy for users to be able to delineate what is the bot and what is actually a user in the room. So one of the things we made sure that was very important was that the bot had its own color while it was chatting so that other users knew while the stream was going on, everybody's talking, that whenever a message comes across, the bot will basically be able to, they'll be able to know that it's actually the bot who's speaking in the room. Now, another thing also in here, so that you know that the bot is actually monitoring you as you're talking, is, for example, if I'm using Patrick Sun Devil, I've sent 3 messages now, and there's the 4th one, and I say, a 5th time again. Damon is currently set up, and we can change this anytime, but Damon is currently set up to be able to determine how many times, and it keeps a database of all the messages, but also how often the user has spoken. And right now we have Damon set up where every 5 messages, we use a mod equation, but every 5 messages, Damon will pipe up and actually say, you've been active in the chat, keep it up. Now we can set that to anything we want it to be, but 1, it shows everybody that the bot is still moderating in the room. And then, as we said earlier, number 2, because it is a MySQL database, all the messages are actually archived in the database. So at any point in time, we want to come back and be able to look and see exactly what was said before. An administrator can actually go into the database and actually view that information. All right, the last thing we're going to go over is going to be the security filter that we've actually built. And that one actually is pretty awesome. The last thing we're going to highlight on this presentation is the malicious links, URL, and detection system, real-time detection system built into Damon. This took a while to build, but what we did is we went with a company called virustotal.com. And there's actually an API that they have specifically allowed for developers where you can integrate it into any type of program you want. And we decided to build it into the chatbot. So what we did was, as you can see here, if you look up any URL, which we are right here with Damon Chatbot, it will then run it through a plethora of different sites and different filters and different systems that will determine if they've ever seen it and crawled it, and if it's a negative type of response. Now, Damon chatbot is clean, so it's coming back clean. And then what'll happen is this system will generate a JSON report. And in this report, what we are doing is we're pulling certain aspects out of this JSON report, and basically looking at the total positives and then the different information in here. And not only are we using the information we're pulling from, we also built a weight system inside the code, so it can weigh the positives on if it's clean, if it might be malicious, or if it is definitely malicious. And that is exactly how Damon watches the chat room. So coming back into Damon right here, even as Patrick Sundevil, I can write this message. So I already have a pre-scripted message that I'm going to drop in here, and it says, hey guys, I need you to check this link out. Not only is there one link, but there's actually 3 different links in here. And as you can see, Damon has the ability to parse out multiple different URLs, not just one, multiple URLs, and be able to weigh each one of them and determine if they're clean, if they're not malicious and safe, if they're definitely malicious. And I specifically put a malicious one in there, and it found it. We have a couple regexes, URL regexes we built into it so that Damon can see all different types of URLs, and short URLs and long URLs and URLs that have different type of characters in it, and Damon can see them all. And again, if you send multiple URLs into one string, Damon can break apart every one of those URLs and specifically check each one of them, and it will send a message out to everybody in the room letting them know that this user who specifically said this link has determined that this link is either safe or it's malicious. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive we just took into Damon. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hand it over now to Patrick Costa, who's actually going to give you a dive into the user side and some of the fun things that we built into Damon.
Hey, I'm Pat Costa, and in this section of the build, I'm going to briefly discuss some of the user commands that allow string participants to directly interact with the chatbot. Also, I'd like to show that a couple of games that we've incorporated. So with that, we'll go ahead and start the bot. And then we'll go ahead and log into our chatbot webpage here. So we'll log in through the Twitch account, so it'll authenticate. So now we're logged in, and now we'll go over to our Twitch channel. So as you can see, bot's already talking and communicating. So here, we can start punching in a couple commands to directly interact with the bot. So to do that, we'll do the bang, and then say hello. And then there we go, the bot will interact. We can do quick command about user info. Say, and then it'll display our ID. We can also do uptime. All right, and that's the time the bot's been running. Another thing, so when the bot initiates, we have a little game that we play. The bot gives you a certain amount of coins to work with as you play with the games. So one game we can do coin toss. So we can go coin flip. And then we can do heads or tails. So we'll go heads. And then I just won 50 coins. And then we can say, how many coins do we have? No coins. And then send 5 messages. So that's just briefly kind of some of the ways that the users can interact with the bot and kind of play around with it. And that's it. All right, thanks for watching.